Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BookWatch. On this episode of Adaptation Report, we have a fantasy epic returning to the spotlight as one of literature's most iconic worlds gears up for a massive new cinematic expansion. A beloved romance novel is fueling Hollywood's casting buzz with star-studded adaptation taking shape behind the scenes, and the book-to-screen pipeline shows no signs of slowing down, with streaming platforms doubling down on romance, young adult, and viral bestseller IP. I'm Sarah Day.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jordan.
And we have a lot to cover since we skipped June's news, so bear with us, and we will get started after these messages. All right, welcome back, everybody. What have you guys been up to? Where have you been the past 6 weeks?
I'm in Texas now. We moved. So yeah, last episode we recorded was the last one in California, and so now I'm a Texan. And yeah, just trying to unpack and adjust and figure out this new life out here in the Lone Star State.
Her background's a little bit boring comparatively.
I'm doing my best, Christopher.
It might be better. I don't know if it's better than empty bookshelves. That was last week's.
Right.
Bookshelf. That was almost a little sad.
Well, eventually we're thinking in this area there might be like a couch or something, and so then if the couch is small enough, maybe a bookshelf. But like I said, we're working on it. We're doing our best over here. It's also expensive, and I don't have a job yet, so that's the other part of it. Is we can't just buy everything we want to buy. We got to
full-time podcast over here.
Could be. If you guys subscribe to Patreon, we could be.
That's what you are right now. It's not doing anything for you, but that's what you are right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I've just been working a ton, getting into week 23 of our pregnancy over here. So getting ready for baby, getting all the stuff ready. So it's a bit crazy over here, but we're getting by.
And I have just completed my busy season at work. So May and June, I'm in hospitality event planning, and May, June, big months for the event industry. So now that it's July, I'm getting out of that and can actually breathe again. And woo, podcast.
Woo-hoo.
But yeah, we are ready to be back, bring you the best news and book to screen reviews coming up. But before we get into the news for the past 2 months, a new report highlights a continued boom in romance novel adaptations across streaming platforms. Driven by hits like Bridgerton and emerging young adult and book-to-screen projects like Off Campus, the trend reflects strong audience demand for romance content, with streamers increasingly investing in best-selling book IP. So we'll be in business for a while.
Yeah.
Not going to run out of content to read or watch anytime soon.
No.
So much content, so little time.
Speaking of so much content, what have you been reading recently?
I've been rereading Akatar, Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas for the anticipation of the new book coming out in October. One in October and then another one back-to-back in January. So I've been rereading those. And honestly, it's been very good for my mental health to reread those. I've been not having a great time. And I was like, man, I'm in a slump. I don't feel like doing anything or reading anything. I'm just not feeling good about life or myself. And I started reading it, and all of a sudden I'm like, I finished Akatar for 2 days, which is almost a 600-page book in 2 days. I'm like, oh, we're so back. That just scared me.
Yeah, we went through a really big change. So
yeah. We definitely had a lot going on. So I've been kind of struggling, but that literally just cured me. So we're back.
Perfect. I just got finished with all 8 of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and so those are amazing. I'm now joining the cults, and we'll be evangelizing that all over this podcast, I'm sure.
It's in the news this week.
Especially since getting an adaptation. So, and I've been recently reading a sequel to a book I read a while back. This one's called The Tapestry of Fate, and it's really interesting. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Our book club just so happened to choose a LGBTQ book for June, which was nice. We did that unintentionally, but we did The 3 Lives of KK by Kate Fagan. It was really interesting. It was a good read, just a really easy, fun, little quick read, like a beach read. But it was a lot of fun, so I'm glad we covered that. And then I just finished The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, which I would love to see adapted. So that will be really fun. It's a really fun gothic fantasy novel, and the sequel comes out in September. So love the way she writes. Excited to read her other trilogy, which, Jordan, did you read? It looks like One Dark Window.
It's a duology, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. And I would also like to see that adapted. I just think Rachel Gillig, her style, the gothic aura of her books is really cool, really interesting, and there's not too much special effects needed for the One Dark Window. I haven't read Night and the Moth yet, but you could get away with mostly practical effects, and then that way when you do need VFX, it's or computer generated images and stuff, it's really it'll pop a lot, I think. So I really like those, and I was struggling. I'm obviously we want to see Akatar, Throne of Glass, everybody wants those are big ones, right? So I'm what's something a little bit more obscure that doesn't already have an adaptation in the works? And then Rachel Gillig, I was I just love her, and I want her to do all the things. So One Dark Window.
Yeah, after reading The Night and the Moth, I'm really interested in reading her other duology. And the same with The Night and the Moth, not so much visual effects needed, except for there are gargoyles, but I think that's really the only thing you would need CGI for.
Yeah,
we've had good gargoyles since Hunchback of Notre Dame, so we're good.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
And the Gargoyles TV show after that, so just gotta get that one. So
yeah,
the same models. The One Dark Window, as far as I understand, the magic system is kind of based in almost like a tarot card style world system. So I've started it. I haven't gotten very far into it yet. I just got busy with other books, but I've been that's one my wife's been pushing real hard for me to read.
Yeah. Well, those are definitely on my next up.
Yeah, reading them, I found both books kind of slow to get into, but then once I hit the halfway point, I was I can't put it down. I've got to finish it and see what happens next.
I kind of agree about The Night and the Moth. Very kind of a slow start, but still very intriguing. I want to know more. She leaves a lot of mystery in those first few chapters.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the news. We're going to start with everything that is releasing in July. I'm going to run through these headlines, and then we can talk about anything that stands out. I think one may. So Enola Holmes 3, based on the Enola Holmes mysteries by Nancy Springer. The 3rd film premiered on Netflix on July 1st. Silo Season 3, which is based on the series by Hugh Howey. The new season premiered on Apple TV Plus July 3rd, and these episodes are going to release weekly. The 5-Star Weekend, based on the novel by Eileen Hildebrand, premieres on Peacock on July 9th, with all episodes available to stream at launch. The Little House on the Prairie, based on the beloved book series by Laura Ingalls Wilder, premieres on Netflix on July 9th. Lucky, based on the thriller novel by Marissa Stapley and starring Anna Taylor-Joy, premieres on Apple TV Plus on July 15th. The Odyssey, based on the epic poem by Homer, a highly anticipated theatrical adaptation, arrives on July 17th and is currently tracking towards a major domestic opening weekend of roughly 80 to 100 million. Finally, Heartstopper Forever, based on the graphic novels by Alice Oseman, premieres on Netflix on July 17th. This is a movie finale based on the TV series.
Interesting. The Odyssey, right? That's what we're all here for. That's what we all care about. That's what we're all excited about. It's the Odyssey. yeah, I am so pumped. All the press about this movie and like the interviews with Christopher Nolan singing Tom Holland's praises and everybody singing Christopher Nolan's praises, like this is his big one. Like I'm so excited for this movie. And we were all, I think, in the middle of listening to audiobooks of the Odyssey. It was originally a poem, like the cool thing about the Odyssey is it comes from a time when history and stories weren't really written down. They were passed orally, they were passed through verbally. And so this is a epic poem and a play and something meant to be spoken aloud and performed. And so, we've talked about having a debate, like, doesn't count as reading if it's an audiobook versus like a physical book, like, but this one, I think like you're supposed to listen to it. And so depending on what translation you get, like the one that I have is very, there's a rhyme scheme and a flow to it, and it's very repetitive. Some of the lines that are in there, it's like, okay, we get it. Like, we know what Athena looks like. Should we get it? She has gray eyes. But it's like, that's the poem. That's what they're trying to drive home, is like telling a culture about their gods and, their myths and what do we believe. And so it's really cool to like have another step in this incredibly long ancient history of this story. It's really, what a time to be alive,
And
I'm really excited.
reading one, me and Sarday reading. That's can't go wrong with his performance and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see the movie. It's going to be really great. I've got about 10 hours left of the audiobook. But yeah, I think it's going to do really well. It's a great stacked cast. I mean, they've been rolling out the cast for like a year now. So we've been waiting for this. Silo is something that my husband and I like to watch. He wants to come on the podcast and cover that series. It is, like, that's what we're talking about. It is an adaptation. We've really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. I mean, you really can't go wrong with an Apple TV Plus show. But we watched the premiere and we are set and ready for the rest of the season.
Are they in book 3 now with season 3? Or is it kind of?
I want to say they split the first book into 2 seasons, but I might be wrong. I have not read the books yet. So I would be reading those for the podcast should we cover it. But it's definitely on my list. Even if we don't cover it on the podcast, I do want to read them to compare. But I don't quote me on this, but I do think they split the first book into 2 seasons. So I'm not sure where season 3 falls in the books.
Nice.
And then Lucky, I'm excited for. I'm always a fan of Anya Taylor-Joy, so I'm going to check that out. And I don't know. I mean, if I like the movie, then I'll find the book and read that too.
I watched Enola Holmes 3 when it came out on the first. It was good. Good continuation of that story. I have not read the books, but I did get a copy of one of them from thrift store the other day. So the first book, it's a young adult. You're young, like a middle-aged reader, so it's not a long book or anything. And I've heard it more inspired by the book in these later ones, not so much following any specific storyline. But I mean, Millie Bobby Brown's always great, and with Henry Cavill in it as Sherlock, it's got some fun elements to it. And we enjoyed it.
I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts, like really fast so we don't get too distracted, on like YA and young adult? Because for me, like growing up, when like there's the big like YA dystopian boom of like Divergent and Hunger Games, YA meant like teenager, like middle, and like Percy Jackson, like middle school to early-ish high school. That was YA, and so it was very like age appropriate for like 12 to 16-ish. But now I feel like YA has shifted to now it's more like college, like a Heartstopper or things like that are like college students, and so all the things that come with college students, sex, drugs, rock and roll, that kind of stuff. And so like I feel like the definition of YA has changed over just like my lifetime. What do you guys think about all that?
I think officially it's young adult is still supposed like middle school, high school, and then there's new adult, which is college and like right after college age kids. But I do think the term young adult, I don't think new adult has caught on to like the general public. So I think young adult still for the masses covers young adult and new adult. And so I think it just depends. But officially it should be young adult and then new adult.
Yeah. It just gets a little iffy if you're calling, right, Percy Jackson young adult and Heartstopper young adult. Like those are very different for very different audiences. That's appropriate for college age kids and not appropriate for the people who should be reading Percy Jackson at 12, 13 years old. So I was just curious about what you guys thought about that, because I just noticed as we were going through like multiple things are being put under YA, because like you said, I've never heard new adult before. I didn't know that was like something trying to come up. So like it makes sense that they're all being put under the thing, but like I want new adult to catch on so we can get some differentiation between this is for children and this is for adults. Like yes, younger adults in their early 20s, but like adults versus children.
Right. All right, we're going to get into updates, casting news, productions, trailers, etc. And first up is The Midnight Library, based on the novel by Matt Haig, has cast Florence Pugh as Nora Seed. The film is directed by Garth Davis, with Haig serving as executive producer. I read this several years ago, so I don't quite remember the heart of the story. I remember the basis, and it's kind of one of those stories where you go through different what ifs. Like, what if I did this? Where would my life be? I think Florence Pugh is great in everything, so I'm excited to see her. I'm excited to reread this book and really get into the nuances before I see the film. And as always, I'm glad that the author is serving as an executive producer.
Another news on that one, they did also just release the graphic novel of the Midnight Library, so that's available, I believe, now. I've read other books by him. His How to Stop Time, which also has an upcoming adaptation, I believe, was really good, so I'm excited to get into this one soon. And Florence Pugh is great, so interested.
I'll watch anything that Florence Pugh is in, so yeah. Yep. I'm on board. I have not heard of this book or anything about it, but I'm in.
Another favorite of mine, Seven Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo, based on the novel by Taylor Jenkins Reid, is moving forward with a Netflix adaptation, and they have tapped Anna Kendrick to direct. The project remains in development with no release date announced.
I think this is a really interesting project for Anna Kendrick to take on. I think this is only going to be like her second or third directorial project. But her first one, I didn't see it, but it went really well. There's a lot of good reviews for it, and a lot of praise for her as a director. I know her from Twilight and Pitch Perfect, and what she do Into the Woods as a musical, Trolls, for the kids. So I have a lot of faith in Anna Kendrick as a creator, that she's going to do well with this. And then as for the book, like I thought that the book was really interesting. It's definitely, as usual, not really my style, but I did read it at my own volition several years ago, and I liked it. It was interesting. The pacing was good. I liked the the back and forth storytelling of like this is what was happening in the past, and now we're jumping back to the present of the interview and what's happening, and just conceptually like all the different things about like Hollywood and the expectations of women in Hollywood, and women who are famous, and then the time frame, right, in the what is it, like the 50s and 60s, like when Evelyn Hugo was at her prime, like all of that history of Hollywood was really interesting. So I'm excited to see this one come to life. Taylor Jenkins Reid, it's her third project that's going to be coming out, or a third project based on one of her books. So we had, I forget what the first one was, but then Daisy Jones and the Six. And then there was another one. But I also, going back to like Matt Haig, I like how Hollywood is like, we're just gonna take this author and make stuff out of everything that they write. And like there seems like they kind of pick their golden eggs and just milk them and let's do all of your books and then we'll move on to the next one, which is an interesting strategy. It's cool for those authors to get all of, or not all of, but a lot of their works, translated to film and TV. But I don't know, I guess we'll see how it all goes in the long run.
Speaking of Anna Kendrick and books, if you're ever looking for something that's not in the fiction realm, her biography, her autobiography was really entertaining. Scrappy Little Nobody. Made me a bigger Anna Kendrick fan when I read it.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
She's funny.
She is.
I'm willing to watch any adaptation of a Taylor Jenkins Reid novel. I know that Carrie Soto is back, is getting adapted to, and Serena Williams is a part of that because that is a tennis story. But I think that's the only ones that have come back. I might be wrong, but I think Daisy Jones is the first one to be adapted. Now this one is coming, and Carrie Soto is coming. But she has several novels. And if you,
it was One True Loves. One True Loves was released in 2023. It's based on her book.
Okay.
But
I
yeah,
haven't
seen any
I haven't even heard of that.
yeah. More in the works though.
Oh yeah. I'm sure her most recent Atmosphere will be adapted too. I haven't read that one yet, but I'm a fan of her writing, and I was a fan of Daisy Jones and how they adapted it. So very excited to see both Carrie Soto and Seven Husbands. Beach Read, based on the novel by Emily Henry. The film is being directed by and written by Yulin Kwong for 20th Century Studios. The cast includes Phoebe Dynevor, Patrick Schwarzenegger, Kristen Davis, Tig Notaro, Kevin Bacon, and Andy McDowell.
That's a pretty great cast, I feel like. I mean, all the names, but Phoebe's from Bridgerton, right? She's the Daphne. Patrick Schwarzenegger's been coming up with some new, been doing pretty good. I think everything I've seen him in. Kevin Bacon, that's a legend. So I've only, I guess, started reading the beginning of this one and didn't get all the way through it yet. But I was a fan of the last Emily Henry read, and I'm super excited to see what she does with what they do with the rest of these books. She's got like 5 or 6 that are all in the works right now. So speaking of people who they just milk for content in every book they've written. So yeah,
I've read a couple of hers, I believe. So again, excited. I mean, any excuse to read a book and then watch TV and then come talk about it on BookWatch, I'm down.
Yeah, we'll definitely cover that one for sure. I think all these are ones we're definitely going to get to, at least these last 3 there.
I just pulled up a quick deadline article, which Emily Henry books are becoming movies. Let me see if I can scroll down. So Beach Read, we just talked about. Book Lovers, Happy Place, Funny Story, People We Meet on Vacation was adapted. We talked about that one on the podcast. So yeah, lots of content coming.
I think that's all of them. Yeah. I've got Funny Story, Happy Place, and Book Lovers around the bookshelf right now, working on collecting the rest of them.
All right, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, based on the young adult trilogy by Holly Jackson. Netflix has renewed the series for a 3rd and final season, which will conclude Pip Fitz a Moby's story.
We were just watching the trailers for this over the weekend, and definitely throughout the week here. It definitely looks interesting and could be fun. I like the gal who got playing the main actress from Wednesday, so I'm
Emma Myers.
Emma Myers, that's it, yeah. So we will probably pick that one up soon.
Yeah, I would like to read those books and see the show. The Housemaid's Secret, based on the novel by our favorite Frida McFadden. The sequel has added Paul Anthony Kelly to its cast. The film is directed by Paul Feig for Lionsgate and is set for December 17th, 2027 theatrical release.
So
fine, I'll go see another one.
No, that's right when Doomsday comes out. We don't have to see this. We
no,
have to
it's
get
next
Marvel
year.
content. Oh, is it?
It's next December.
2027, yeah.
Oh, well, then we'll see what it looks like. I don't know what's coming out in December next
year.
year.
Is it the next Avengers? Is it in the year apart?
I think that would come out in like May or something. Or like
okay,
the following May or something. I think they are, at least right now, they probably will delay it or something. But
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to see this over a Marvel film. Don't make me laugh. But like, if there's literally nothing else going on December 17th of 2027, then like, yeah,
look at the next thing down our list. We'll have Lord of the Rings.
Oh, just kidding.
The same
I'll be
day,
seeing Lord of the Rings. Hey, I lied. I will not be seeing this film. I will be seeing Lord of the Rings. Maybe in January. Yeah, maybe in January. Like, I don't know. You guys know how we feel about the Housemaid and Frida McFadden, and I just, but like I said before, like it left off with like a really interesting concept of like this housemaid going into being a Black widow, like vigilante defender of abused women, and I'm into that. I'm into killing men for abusing women. I feel like that's warranted. I'm kind of like, legally that was a joke, but like conceptually as a fictional concept for a film on a book series, I'm interested in that. I kind of would like to see it, so I don't know if I have time, maybe, but like definitely prioritizing Lord of the Rings.
And speaking of Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum will release in theaters December 17th, 2027. This is based on J.R.R. Tolkien's world. The Warner Brothers film is directed by Andy Serkis, who also reprises his role as Gollum. The ensemble includes Anya Taylor-Joy, Ian McKellen, Elijah Wood, Lee Pace, Kate Winslet, and Jamie Dornan.
Woo!
Sounds fun. I don't think this one's based off any specific book. I think it's maybe just pulling from that time between when he leaves to go to go find Gollum and get that info out of him, and which could be interesting for sure. There is some time there that's missing. I don't know if it's necessary, but it could be interesting for sure.
I mean, in the age of bleeding properties until there's no blood left, like, yeah, this checks out. That makes sense. I am excited though for Andy Serkis to be directing it. I feel like he's such a pioneer of the visual effects space, and like the work he did with Gollum in the original Lord of the Rings movies in the early 2000s, and then like Planet of the Apes, and like all of the stuff that he's done in that field. I feel like if anybody's going to take the lead of a Gollum-centric movie, it should be Andy Serkis. And I feel like outside of the visual effects space, he is an underrated creator. I feel like he's underrated as like a producer director, because I think he's done other things as well, and they didn't get that much respect when they came out. So I'm excited for him to do this, and then of course, we're excited to see our old friends Ian McKellen and Elijah Wood, Lee Pace, where they're all the crews coming back together, and there's gonna be some recasts. I don't like Jamie Dornan, just like generally. Sorry, no disrespect to him as a human being. I just am like 50 Shades is not my jam. And so I think he's replacing Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, right? Or at least that's the rumor.
He was in season 1 of Once Upon a Time, and I did like him in that season. But yeah, I like the sheriff. I think he's the huntsman.
Okay.
And then he got the role in Shades of Grey. So
if his best role is Once Upon a Time,
I haven't seen him in anything since, so I can't speak to him.
I haven't either.
But it's just like if you want to see a different side of him from 50 Shades, I just don't think 50 Shades is a good story and book and writing to begin with. So and then like to be lead opposite Dakota Johnson, like he doesn't have a lot going for him in those films.
That is so valid.
Let's give him a chance.
You're so right. I've also just remembered that 50 Shades is based on Twilight fanfiction, or it was originally Twilight fanfiction, and then they like changed the names in the storyline a little bit to not infringe on copyright. So there was no way that he was going to be successful in that role. He's trying to be Edward Cullen, but like in a BDSM situation, it's just not going to work. So you're right. I'm so sorry for the slander, Jamie Dornan. We'll see how it goes.
Andy Serkis reads the audiobooks of Lord of the Rings, which was really interesting. I enjoyed his.
Yes, he's great.
Incredible voice actor.
going back to Dornan, of course, I'd love to have Hugo back, but there's some age differences there that, like Anna McKellen's already an old wise wizard, so it makes sense to recast. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this movie has to do, and we can talk about it maybe. I mean, there's a lot of content just in that trilogy and prequel, so we'll see if we ever get to the Lord of the Rings world.
One after another, just all of next year.
I think it would take us a whole year to cover everything, just read everything. Another vast universe classic is The Chronicles of Narnia. Greta Gerwig's adaptation of C.S. Lewis's series is being produced for Netflix, like we've talked about before. However, the news is Sony Pictures Entertainment is going to give it a theatrical distribution. The Magician's Nephew is the first one, and it will release in IMAX and theaters on February 12th, 2027, before streaming on Netflix in April.
And we've been talking about this since we started this news report, but we're excited for it. We'll see how they do. There's a lot of up in the air of how things are going to go, but it should be really interesting to see The Magician's Nephew finally brought to screen and see it on the big screen or little screen.
Yeah, I'm excited for it to get a theatrical distribution. There's the streaming wars and all that. I love the theater experience. There's just nothing like, at home you can pause it, go to the bathroom. It's like, yeah, but like, it's not the same. Like the sound and the scope of like the big screen, like it's a magical experience. And so I think something of this epic nature should be on a big screen. So I'm excited that it's getting a big screen debut.
Jordan's like, there's nothing like having to hold your bladder while trying to watch your favorite scenes.
Yeah, it's part of the experience.
It makes it better when you can't go to the bathroom.
It's part of the experience.
Well, there's something about, seeing like the grand world that they've created on a big screen,
especially an IMAX screen or like the screen X with more the extra stuff. It'll be cool to see on the big screen for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like something like Project Hail Mary, for example, that stuff, the visuals in that film are so incredible. It's simply not going to hit the same at home as it does on a movie theater screen. It's just not the same. And so, there's a lot of situations and nuance in the conversation of at home release versus theater release, but I'll be going to the theater until every single one is shut down.
I'll have to put that Project Hail Mary one to the test. I think it's out on streaming now, so I definitely gonna check that out again.
Yeah, I think on Amazon, right?
Yeah, I think that's where I was going first.
Very excited. I'm going to be watching that on repeat. Okay, we're going to move on to books that are being picked up for adaptation. We're going to start with some more Brandon Sanderson. We know that he's already getting the Cosmere Universe adapted. We are all reading Mistborn ourselves, or trying to read Mistborn, but we have Skyward, which is based on his young adult sci-fi novel. It's going to be a series developing at Tomorrow Studios. This is going to be a series which is in development at Tomorrow Studios for television, and Sanderson, of course, is co-writing the pilot. I'm very excited for this to kind of get my children into the world of Brandon Sanderson. We're getting into the ages where we can start introducing them into Harry Potter. We started reading that book, we started watching it, and some of these other fantasy things. So now that we've introduced them to one of my favorite stories, we can start introducing them to my husband's favorite author. So excited to learn more about this.
I always love when authors are involved in the writing of episodes or of scripts for their properties. That just always makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside that, even if, like we talked about with Percy Jackson, like even if changes are made, the person who should be authorizing the changes is there making them and saying that, yes, this is fine, I'm on board with this, we're good. So that definitely speaks to the confidence that the viewer can have in an adaptation. And so Brandon Sanderson is on the rise in the adaptation world. He's already well known in books, obviously, but with all the adaptations that he's getting through Apple TV, this is going to be an exciting time.
Have you read that one, Third Skyward?
Nope, but maybe I'll start with that one.
Young adult sci-fi sounds like really fun for his writing.
Exactly.
Other ones are definitely pretty heavy, but I think that he might, something that's a little more young adult could be a little easier to digest.
I think the only book that I have read of Brandon's is Trust of the Emerald Sea, and that Matt was like, it's about a ship, so you'll love it, and he was right. Ella Enchanted, based on the novel by Gail Carson Levine, is being developed by Disney Plus with Anne Hathaway attached as executive producer.
I loved Ella Enchanted growing up. That was like one of those movies that would come on and be like, oh, I love this movie, and you'd finish it whenever it came on. And Anne Hathaway starred in that original film in the early 2000s, and so having her back as an executive producer is really exciting. Did not know it was based on a novel, so this is always fun to discover that childhood favorites are actually based on books that should have also been childhood favorites, but you didn't know any better. I felt like the story of Ella Enchanted was pretty contained, though, so I'm not really sure how or why they're going to drag it out into a series with potentially like multiple seasons. Like the movie, unless they're like retelling that same story just in episode format instead of film format and including more from the book. Okay, I'm not really sure who's asking for this, but like Anne Hathaway seems to be on kind of a run of doing sequels or remakes of movies she's already been in. So you know what, sure, keep it going. Why not?
Yeah, she's been on fire lately. She's been doing all sorts of stuff and been all over the place. And if she wants to redo an old favorite of hers, probably, and give it some new life for a new generation, hey, more power to her.
Yeah, she just did Devil Wears Prada 2, and then this, and then there's talks about doing another Princess Diaries movie and getting like adult Mia Thermopolis as queen and like what that looks like. So I'm definitely more interested in that and Princess Diaries and like getting a new glimpse at her life, what's been like as the queen. Chris Pine coming back, I'm very into that. But sure, what the heck, sure, throw Ella Enchanted in there too. Why not?
I think those ones are based on a book too.
Yes, they are.
At least the first one.
Yeah.
The God of the Woods, based on the novel by Liz Moore, is getting a series developed by Netflix, and Maya Hawke is set to star.
I'm just excited about this because my Hawk's attached, and I have no idea what the book's about at all. Just excited to see what happens with it. It's gotten a lot of screen time on Facebook, and people obsessing over it because Taylor Swift was reading it. So, and somebody caught that on one of her videos. It was in a video or something. So
I believe it was her documentary.
There we go, something like that. And so it got blew up from that. It was already pretty popular. So I'm excited to read it at some point here and see what it's all about.
I believe Maya Hawke is also a fan of Sarah J. Maas, so I wonder if we can get her in the Maasverse somewhere.
And Fourth Wing, she talked about reading Fourth Wing, and me and my wife were talking about that on one of our drives recently about how she would actually make a good one of the side friends of the main character in Fourth Wing. She might make a good character for one of those people. She's going to be. I think she'll be in a couple of those upcoming romantic books,
or maybe even the older sister, depending on who they cast as Violet.
Yeah, we got to figure out who their matching appearances to.
Yeah, she's on the record as a romantic fan, so BFFs.
Woohoo, good for us.
Yay for us.
Shatter Me, based on the young adult series by Tahara Mafi, is being developed by Warner Brothers, a feature film in partnership with Temple Hill.
This is one of those ones that was popular in like the YA dystopia when I was an early teenager, 13, 14. I never read it because I was really locked in on Percy Jackson and Hunger Games, and I was just rereading those constantly. But this one was really popular with like my friends and my friend circle. A lot of people were reading it. I'm honestly excited that books from my youth are getting their day in the sunshine. I think, you know, because you had something so big like Hunger Games and Divergent, for example, like, and Maze Runner, like those ones became such big events at the time that things that were, you know, maybe not quite on par, like got skipped over. So I think it's really cool that people are going back and being like, you know what, actually this stuff slaps. This is actually really good and they deserve adaptations. And like we said at the very top of the episode, like book to screen adaptations are like having a moment right now, I think more than ever. And at the very least, I think even if say there's the same amount of book to screen adaptations happening, they're a lot more open that, hey, this is based off a book. And they're trying to draw in that audience, that pre-existing audience of book fans to come and watch the movie or show that they're basing on the books. So I think it's really cool. And it's really exciting for all these authors to like, you know, they kind of had like a little bit of a heyday, you know, 10, 15 years ago. And now like they get to come back and say like, hey, you know what, like I'm sure it probably feels good for them as authors that like, you know what, my work was really awesome. And now it can reach a wider audience and, you know, share that story and the, whatever the broader message behind it is. So good for them. Yay, Shatter Me.
I kind of feel like they didn't advertise that things were based on books before. They were just trying to, you know, make the film. That's why we didn't realize that Ella Enchanted. There's a lot of these movies that came out back in the 90s and early 2000s that they just didn't really advertise that part of. Yeah, this is actually a book originally. You had to, you know, hunt that out yourself if you wanted to know that or have already read it. So
well,
now it's an advertising.
Things like Book Talk and Bookstagram really are driving that marketing. You know, saying, okay, you love this book, go see the film.
Which I love. Yeah.
All right, we already talked about Dungeon Crawler Carl, but
But if you want to talk more about
it. It has been picked up by Peacock. Seth MacFarlane is producing it, and this is based on the lit RPG series by Matt Dinniman. We're going to be getting more and more news as the series continues to progress. So, yeah, Chris, you've read all of 8 books. What do you have to say about this?
I love the series. It's entertaining. It's definitely going to be. I think Seth MacFarlane's the perfect person to bring it to life. There's the narrator of the audiobooks is his name like right now, Jeff something. He does all the voices in different tones and stuff, so it sounds like you're listening to a full fully produced cast. So it's really fun with him. And people have accused him of taking away the jobs from other people because he's doing all this. He's got a bunch of people mad at him for the fact that he's doing all of it, and yet he loves that. And he's ruining audiobooks for other people. It's been entertaining to listen to him give his side of the story on TikTok, and Matt Dinniman and him are real close, so they're having fun over there, and I'm super excited to see what they do with this. I have no idea if it's an animated series, if it's a live action, if it's they haven't said exactly what they're doing with it, just that it's good. The apocalypse will be televised.
I've started reading the first one, and I can see how this got so popular and how it's already been picked up for an adaptation. I'm excited to see what they do, whether it's animation or live action. But yeah, again, Seth MacFarlane's a good solid choice. So I'm excited to see this all come together, and hopefully we'll read more of the series before the show comes out.
There's supposed to be like 3 more books before it's over.
Good grief.
Well, each book is like its own level of the dungeon, right?
Right. There's 18 levels of the dungeon, and it's not always only one in each one. There's a couple that have 2 or 3, but he's working his way down. I think we're the 8th book. They just moved on to like the 15th level. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, so they're working through them.
All right, You Deserve to Know, based on the novel by Angie Blum Thompson, is coming on Hulu, and it will reunite Nina Dobrev and Paul Wesley as executive producers and leads. Of course, we all know them from The Vampire Diaries.
I was
excited to see them return.
We don't know, it was just Sarah.
I was not really into this one. I have seen it. It doesn't grasp my attention like some other ones do, but I go back to it every once in a while. But again, I mean, I do like those two. I never shipped their characters, so I'm interested to see what their chemistry is like in this. Treasure Island, based on the classic by Robert Louis Stevenson, is coming out as another movie. This will be directed by Ridley Scott and will star Hugh Jackman as Long John Silver.
Pumped, stoked. Hugh Jackman as Long John Silver is going to be really interesting. Because like the illustrations in my copy of Treasure Island, and then when we did Treasure Planet, like that version of Long John Silver, they look like bigger, like more heavy set men. Versus Hugh Jackman, like even if he like isn't like Wolverine cut, like he's still going to be more fit. So I think it's going to be interesting to like change my like predisposed visualization of what Long John Silver looks like. But I think, one of the favorite things that Chris and I talked about when we did Treasure Planet was like the emotional depth of that version of Long John Silver and his relationship with Jim. And I think Hugh Jackman can definitely bring that kind of depth to the character. And then Ridley Scott like is a great director and action director, so I think it's going to be a lot more action heavy. That was one of our critiques of the book, was like there's so much exposition and explanation, like it's so boring and slow. So I think having Ridley Scott as the director, like there will definitely be more action sequences and naval battles, and it'll just be a more exciting and more of a Pirates of the Caribbean style interpretation of the original pirate story. But I'm excited.
Speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm excited for this kind of resurgence of the pirate era. We had a pirate era a few years ago, and now Treasure Island is getting another adaptation. They have been talking about another Pirates of the Caribbean movie for some time, so maybe that will get greenlit. But I am obsessed with pirates, so bring on the pirate era.
And then just to tie all of our threads together, Victoria Aveyard, who wrote the Red Queen series, which is another popular book when I was a teenager, another YA book. She is writing a pirate duology that is already, the book hasn't even come out yet, and it's already been announced that there's going to be an adaptation of it. So we're just seeing all of
we're heading to pirate era then.
So love pirates, love YA adaptations. We're just going to be like having the time of our lives.
That other series I'm reading right now is a pirate series as well. She's a pirate, the most feared pirate gal. So she's like a 4-year-old woman. So it's kind of based on both those things being important to the story. An older woman taking on a role of being the most feared pirate in the world is not common in those sort of things. And so they wrote it in such a way that it really highlights that, but also shows why she became that. It's been fun. Treasure Island. I want to be sarcastic and say, oh great, another Treasure Island. Like we need that. But then I read, Hugh Jackman in that role and Ridley Scott. I'm like, okay, I'm excited for this one. Yeah, darn it, give me
I think we need like an updated actual adaptation of this. That's not like the Muppets or Treasure Planet.
Yeah, because I don't know when the last like live action, like quote unquote serious version of it was. It has been a while, so I think we're due for it. And again, like there's a lot of books that I see that are pirate themed, like like I talked about, like Chris is reading some, so like I think pirates are back on the rise. And so if you're going to do it, like kind of spearheading the new wave of pirate media is, yeah, it makes sense. And so
2012 was the most recent adaptation.
No shot.
Elijah Wood was in it as Ben Gunn. And
Huh.
so
Was
I
it
have to check
a
that one out.
theatrical release
So-
or was it a made for TV?
I don't know. I have to look a little deeper
Wow.
into it, but yeah.
I mean,
that
if
was
none of us
really
heard about it or saw it, then like it couldn't have been that good, right? So
Right.
I think we're due for a new good
Oh,
interpretation.
it was a show. Never mind. That's what that one was. Okay.
Ooh,
That's the
interesting.
movie when I typed it in, but it was a show. Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree. We do need a new rendition of it. It's time.
Speaking of the Pirates resurgence here, One Piece live action has also been pretty popular and is doing well. So just adding fuel to that fire. A Forgotten Kill, based on the novel by Isabella Maldonado, is coming to ABC, and Justin Hartley will be the executive producer, though he's not slated to star as of yet.
Tough. I really wanted the hot brother from This Is Us to be on the screen again.
Hey, maybe we'll see.
I mean,
I don't know anything about this book, but I liked him in This Is Us, so I'm excited to see how he does as a producer.
He's had a couple other shows since then that haven't really done amazing.
Was it
but
Tracker?
Tracker was
Was
one
that
of
the
them.
one?
Yeah. He's been in a few other things, but
The ABC series is such a niche genre. Like it really is its own genre. So
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see like how this book, because A Forgotten Kill sounds like the title, it sounds interesting if we're judging books by covers and titles. It sounds cool, but I'm like, an ABC series, like the Family
Right.
Channel? Are you sure? Like I don't know about that one, but we'll see how it goes.
Icebreaker, based on the hockey romance novel by Hannah Grace. The Netflix series is produced by Unwell Productions and led by Alex Cooper. We've been talking about this. We're seeing a lot of like hockey and ice skating themed, young adult themed books coming to the big screen. So this is just another one in that list.
Alex Cooper producing, does Alex Cooper call her daddy, I'm assuming? Because that's interesting for her to get into producing. If it is her, it's interesting to have her branch into this new style of media when she's, as to my knowledge, she's only ever done her podcast.
I can't find confirmation of that in a quick Google search. It just says Alex Cooper.
Well, I'm going to operate under the assumption that it is Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy podcast fame, and I stand by my statement that that's really interesting for her to start producing other media besides her podcast.
the production company, the Unwell Network, is owned by her and her husband, film
Okay.
producer Matt
Kaplan.
So
He's
yes,
a film
it is,
producer by trade. Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
so
well-
it's her and him owning this
Gotcha.
production company that is what's pushing this on.
Well, thank you very much, Chris.
Icebreaker also is like one of those ones that like I've seen on Book Talk for years and like started the trend of like girls going to hockey games to watch like the boy fishbowl and like just observe the men doing hockey stuff. So that's a funny thing that girls do now because of this book, and like the whole like contemporary sports novel thing I feel like got really started by Icebreaker. So I think it definitely deserves to be something that gets adapted. It's kind of, like I said, started the trend. And then, for Alex Cooper's husband is a producer, film producer, by trade. And then she also has a ton of experience, obviously producing her show and marketing and all of that kind of stuff. It'll be very interesting to see that production company get kind of start branching out and see what else they do in the future if Icebreaker does well.
My What If Year is based on the memoir by Alicia Fernandez Miranda. The Warner Brothers film is produced by America Ferrera with a screenplay by Heidi Schreck.
I never heard of that one. So
As I say, I don't think any of those words mean anything to me.
Well, America Ferrera,
That's the
excited
only
to
thing
see
I
anything
can
that
do,
she
yeah.
brings to us. So I'm sure, it's in good hands. So I like a good memoir also. So I would like to give this book a read and then see how the adaptation does.
Fair enough.
Friday the 13th, based on the graphic novel by Yehudi Mikado. The animated film is being developed at Paramount Animation with Dan Trachtenberg directing.
Anybody know anything about that one?
Nope, but I'm probably not going to download Paramount for it. So I'll be skipping that.
That's fair.
I think it's interesting to have like Freddy Krueger and Friday the 13th like as an animated film. I mean,
Well, it looks
just
like it's Freddy and Jason together in something like it's like an amalgamation of Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street.
interesting.
Freddy
It could be
versus
fun,
Jason
and it
kind
might be in the animation style of, the name is escaping me, but it was the latest DC Sean Gunn.
Oh,
Commandos?
spoilers.
Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos. Yeah, so if it's in that style, like adult horror, it could be fun. But again, not downloading Paramount for it.
Sorry.
Every year after, based on Every Year After, based on Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, the Prime Video series has been renewed for season 2, adapting One Golden Summer. I didn't finish Every Summer After, but that's just because life got ahead of me. But I believe if I'm thinking of the right book, it's a dual timeline, and it was really interesting. And I want to go back to it one day. When I heard that it was being adapted, I'm like, oh, I need to go back to it. But then we had this podcast already, so we're already reading so much stuff. So I'm glad to see that there's a season 2 for the next book, and I want to revisit this story soon.
Shows confidence in it if it's doing well enough to get season 2. So yeah, makes it worth checking out probably.
Speaking of Carly Fortune, this summer will be different based on the novel. Speaking of Carly Fortune, this summer will be different is also getting an adaptation. It will be a 10-episode series, which is filming in Canada with a projected release window of 2028.
Girls got a lot of issues with summers apparently.
Yeah. She must be one of the Netflix darlings to keep getting her stuff adapted.
Well, the other one was Prime, so
Prime Video, yeah.
See, now that's weird to split it
now it's
between
like-
two
Whoever buys the
studios.
rights.
I know, but that's just interesting to me that to sell the rights to two different studios. And so like if people are fans of her specifically and want to support her and her work, now they have to go to two different platforms to do that.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like being a Spider-Man fan.
It's
Yeah.
tough. That's what I'm saying. I don't like it.
Well, Spider-Man, we've got Prime, we've got Netflix, we've got Disney. He's all over the place.
Sony,
Yeah.
yeah.
Prime Video is continuing the expansion of the off-campus universe by Elle Kennedy, driven by strong audience performance and ongoing young adult development across the franchise.
New adult development across the franchise.
That's fair.
Yeah,
watched
I'm not
it.
familiar with it, but Prime seems to be a little bit more adult than things like Netflix.
Yeah,
So
for
I'm
sure.
not familiar with this story at all, if it's new adult or young adult or what.
Me neither. The little bit that I have heard is it's like a steamy college situation. That's pretty much all I've gotten for it, and it's just like not my jam, not my vibe. So like again, like good for the author. I always like supporting authors because I think we're in a literacy crisis, and then like all the stuff with AI, like being used. Like I'm very anti AI, as much as possible. I have used it, so I'm kind of a hypocrite, but like I just, especially like in creative endeavors, like I think it's really important for human beings to keep leading creation. And so, I want authors to keep writing. I want new people to become authors, and I want those authors' works to be spread out to wider audiences and be respected. And so, good for you, Miss Ella Kennedy. Like, keep it going, keep them rolling. And, you know, shout out to Prime for continuing to expand this universe and, like, you know, get more people interested in it. But yeah, I will probably never watch it, but like, good for y'all.
The few things I've seen on, like, I think I've seen some clips on TikTok and everything, it looks pretty good, but like, looks like the performances are decent, but definitely has its campy nature of a certain type. So we'll see if I ever get around to it, but it looks kind of interesting.
The Shore, based on the novel by Katie Rundy, is getting an HBO Max series, which will star Nev Campbell and is written by Chris Kaiser. This story follows a multi-generational family over one summer on the Jersey Shore.
That sounds like fun. I like multi-generational stories. I like, you know, a tight timeline. So one summer you get to just go through a family and like navigate, you know, family dynamics. Like, that all is interesting to me. The fact that it's going to be on HBO is interesting. So HBO has a reputation of really great TV. Like, obviously, you know, like the big fantasy stuff, like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, but also like The Sopranos was an HBO series. And so I feel like if they have signed on for a project, like, there's a certain level of like quality that it's going to have. It might not be the best thing that they've ever made, but there's a standard there. So I'm excited that it's going to be on HBO, and I might check it out.
We're going to conclude our news episode with something that's not necessarily a page to screen adaptation, but every once in a while, we include some things that we're really excited about. And this one obviously made the list. The Magic School Bus is getting a live action adaptation. This is, of course, based on the children's franchise by Joanna Cole and Bruce Deegan, which we all grew up with. Legendary is developing a feature film with Elizabeth Banks producing and also starring as Miss Frizzle.
I love this. I love Magic School Bus. We grew up with it, like we said, and then, like, you know, working with kids, that was something that we knew we could put on for them at any time. So it's safe, educational. So I love Magic School Bus, and I love Elizabeth Banks as Miss Frizzle. I think she is going to absolutely be able to nail that. I love her a lot as a creator. She's done a lot in like the producing and directing, and I think most people still probably know her from as Effie Trinket from Hunger Games, or maybe I forget her character's name, but she was one of the like announcers in Pitch Perfect with Anna Kendrick. But she like produced those movies and like was a huge part of the creation of those films. So I love her, and I'm so excited to get live action Magic School Bus and like bring the next generation into being fans of Magic School Bus.
She absolutely has the energy for it. Also, they are 100% books from the 80s. 1986 was when the original 15-part series of Magic School Bus books came out. So
well, here we go.
Before they did the adaptation, yeah.
Oh, you know what I would love to see is a Magic Treehouse adaptation.
They're doing it. It's happening.
Oh, that's right. I think we covered that on the podcast. Yes. Okay. Yay. That'll be fun.
And I will be sad for every
single. Do we remember?
I think so. Yeah, but I will be sad for every single one of those because those are my babies. Magic Treehouse are like
definitely
my precious.
Definitely like my first few books were that series.
I was hard into that series for a long time. I was hunting them down the library, making sure I was reading every single one of them.
Yeah. And she's still pumping them out, to my knowledge. So
no way.
Yeah, Mary Poppins Osborne does not stop grinding. Brandon Sanderson wishes he could keep up with her. Girl, I have no idea. I used to still read them because I'm trying not to sound like a jerk here, but like I had a really high reading level when I was a kid. So by like first grade, when most people are reading Magic Treehouse, I was reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone unassisted. So like my mom, my teachers, and my parents were like, a little bit. My teachers and my parents were like, you need to not keep reading like Magic Treehouse. Like, you need to continue to push yourself and like read like older like books for older kids and like, you know, push your reading level more. So I stopped reading them earlier than I wanted to, like just because I was like started reading Aragon and like Percy Jackson, like bigger older things. But I don't own as many Magic Treehouses as I wish I did. So maybe I'll get back into hunting them down and collecting them. And
I've started picking some up already, getting ready for it to come out, and having a kid around. You know, they had them at we just went to a new opening of a kid store here, a resale store, and they had a bunch of them bundled up together. And I was like,
nice.
Ooh, I need to grab those.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to start being on the lookout for them to read to the girls.
Yeah, that's a really good one for that. Education, just like Magic School Bus, and they really do a good job of educating while telling a really cool story.
Yeah, there's a lot, and then those books too, Magic School Bus and Magic Treehouse, really like encouraged a level of learning, and like it made learning fun because so many kids struggle with like school is boring, school's no fun. And it's like, okay, well, watch Magic School Bus or read Magic Treehouse, and you can still learn. You know, it's a pirate story. There's pirates in here, but like you're still actually there's excerpts from history books that is like science and history backed facts of like this is when pirates really had their heyday and like what they did and what this means, like definitions of words. Like it's really really valuable information and told in a way that keeps kids wanting more. So any parents out there, Magic School Bus, Magic Treehouse, can't go wrong.
All right, any final thoughts before we all hop off?
I just miss you guys so much. I'm so happy to be back.
Happy to be here. Yeah, I think we're all good this time.
Yep.
All right. Well, we will see you soon. We are covering, we have the second episode of Remarkably Bright Creatures coming out. We're going to be doing the Odyssey. We're going to be doing Mockingjay. So stay tuned, read up, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
That's a wrap for today's episode of BookWatch. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of page-to-screen adaptations. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share it with your fellow book and movie lovers. If you'd prefer to watch along, you can check the show out on YouTube. You can follow the show on Instagram at BookWatch Podcast, and you can follow me, Sarah Day, on Instagram at captain.mcd. That's MCDEE. You can also join the conversation in the BookWatch Lounge on Facebook at www.facebook.com/groups/BookWatchLounge. If you would like to support the podcast, you can join the Patreon at www.patreon.com/BookWatchPodcast. Tiers start at only $4 a month, and I'd love to have you over there. If you have a favorite adaptation you'd like to cover with me, I'd love for you to apply to be on the show with the contact form on our website at www.bookwatchpodcast.com. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and I'll see you next week.